All right, guys. So today I'm going to be talking about the biggest mansion in Billings, Montana history that was originally, after it was built for 2 years, completely finished and not lived in due to fraud. We're going to be looking at the backstory, looking at this mansion that really does resemble an older castle. Now, me personally looking at it, obviously, the location of it just beautiful. Going over some of the amenities, they had this listed for around $16.5 million. Imagine if this was in a different area, how expensive it would have been, like LA or something like that. This is an unbelievable house, but because it is in Montana, 31,000 square feet, 108 acres, the total plot of land, with 10 bedrooms, 19 bathrooms, 3 pools, a bowling alley, along with an indoor shooting range as well. And I did see in the backyard what looks to be a putting green. Apparently, it also has a moat, which actually shouldn't surprise you considering it does look like a castle. Now, just judging this house personally, I would never build something like this. I'm not a fan of the old castle medieval style in terms of my personal home. Like if I was building a mansion, it wouldn't look like this. And then another thing I'm not a fan of, and maybe this is nitpicking a little bit, but the lights on the driveway, I just think they're outrageous. They're very obnoxious to me. They're too fat and there's too many of them, but either way, this is certainly an amazing looking home. When it comes to the history of this home, it was built over the course of 3 years by a Montana businessman named Larry Wayne Price Jr., but originally it was never lived in because Price pleaded guilty to 3 counts of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and false official statement in an embezzlement scheme that defrauded companies of more than $20 million. So, as he's building and completing this beautiful $17 million mansion, he gets hit with this and apparently had to forfeit the property. And the property did sell. Now, I was able to see in an updated Reddit post, it has finally sold, but I believe it was only on the market for like a year. Normally, with massive properties like this, it takes a while for them to sell. I would imagine based on its location, if you're going to buy a big house in Montana, you're going to want it to be located in Billings. That's the biggest population center, and it's kind of a decent location, and obviously it's a beautiful home, but it only attracts a certain type of buyer because the cost is just so exorbitant at around $17 million. But it was on the market for around a year, so overall it probably sat vacant for about 2.5 to 3 years. From the time it was finished, nobody could live in it, obviously, because it got taken away from the original owner because of a fraud scheme, and then it was sold to someone else, someone anonymous, and we would assume that is who currently lives in it. Another weird thing that I found about this house, take a look at this bathroom. Do you see the stall? Like, isn't that just strange to me? If I ever were to build a mansion, there's no way I would have a stall. It looks like a Target bathroom, right? Like, they actually have a stall. I guess when you get a mansion that big enough where there's like 19 bathrooms, you can put a stall into it. But this is certainly not a McMansion. I mean, the interior of this is beautiful. You can tell it's really well done. And even the exterior, the way it's designed, is very impressive. Although, again, just some of these styles I'm just not a fan of. Like the castle style going all the way up where it's uneven. I just think that looks bad. I don't know. But it still is a beautiful house. There's no doubt about it. And then the outside of it, not a big fan of pools in general. I like indoor pools. Like if you were to have a mansion to do an indoor pool, the outdoor pools to me, you could take it or leave it, but there you can kind of see how the house wraps around completely. I wonder what that little, in the upper left, what that little room is. Probably just a storage area, and then all the garages would be to the right of that little storage area. There's about 5 or 6 garages in there. Another thing that I notice about these mansions, I mean, that is a beautiful garage area. You see how some of the walls kind of jet out, and you also do have like a full extended living space above the garages with a bunch of windows and stuff. That is really nice. But a lot of these mansions that have like 8-car, 9-car garages, they're all single car garages lined up in a row because like a double car garage, I guess, just looks cheap. You know, I have a bigger house that's around me that has a very strange setup. They have like two-car garages like at a 90-degree angle. So one of the garages will be against one of the walls, and then you turn right, and then there's the other garage like right up against each other, and they're two-car garages. But many of these bigger mansions, like something like this where it's like 30K square feet, they just do single car garages. But of course there'll be like 8 single car garages. Looking at a few of the interior photos, you can see it seems to be some type of circular glass elevator that they have going around those stairs. Elevator that they have surrounded by a spiral staircase. If you guys can see that, that's an interesting design. And then just more photos of the interior. There's a bedroom, looks like some type of TV screen that pulls down. I'm not exactly sure what that is. There's one of the kitchens. That's a good kitchen design right there. Oh, they've got a massive fish tank. Yeah, I would imagine that's like the center area of the entire house. An okay amount of natural light coming in. It's not, I'd like a little bit more personally, but either way, that is just the story of the biggest house in Montana history, originally vacant for multiple years right after it was completed. It's interesting because you look at some of the photos that they took of it when it was vacant, like there's no landscaping surrounding it. It just looks like they randomly let grass grow and it looks all disheveled, and there's just this beautiful brand new mansion. I just love when there's a contrast like that. And to make it clear, the mansion was listed for 16 million. It sold for 13.95 million. So basically 14 million is what it sold for, originally listed for 16. I wonder what the total cost it was to build versus what they listed it for versus what it sold for at 14 million. And it is hard to say whether they got a steal or not because mansions and their price is mainly based on where they're located. That's the number one thing that ties into it. You know, this mansion would be worth maybe more, maybe less based on the location of it. And it could be double, triple, quadruple if it was located in a different area. I mean, being on all those acres, that's also going to drive up the price at least a little bit. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.